I mean, I walk around and like I'll get random like thank you so much. Like I had one guy try to give me food and he was like, oh, I can finally graduate happy as a senior for the last 2 weeks. And I wanted him not to take it. I was like, I can't. I might get in trouble. But yeah, no, I mean, a lot of it's been from the teachers. Actually, the teachers have been very proud. One of my teachers said I owe him a heart after he almost had a heart attack the last 2 weeks. So I mean, I'm getting great comments, and I think Mark's in that class too. So they've been wishing Mark the best as well.
What kind of food did the guy want to give you? Ham sandwich?
Nah, it was actually they had some bus that had like some cupcake. You want to give me some type of cupcake, and I was like, I'm good. I don't really eat sweets like that. So.
How does that make you feel though? You know, knowing that when you guys beat Florida State, I mean, that is a huge emotional thing for a lot of fans.
Nah, it was, and I mean, I've been getting so many comments and DMs and tweets and stuff like that, and the fans are happy and they're excited, and I hope they come out this game because this is a big game for us. Syracuse beat Clemson. They're a tough team, and I think they're going to be amped up to play in Miami, so it's going to be a fun game this weekend.
Things you've tried to do this week just to deal with the issue of slow starts and to make that better?
The big thing we've been trying to do is just trying to get short completions, anything to get it going. Sometimes we'll have that first drop, or sometimes I'll make a bad read and it kind of kills the tempo. The big thing is get that first completion, get it going, and get the drive started. And a lot of that starts with me. Like no matter what happens, I got to throw accurate balls to the receivers. They got to make the plays, and I feel like we want to start fast. This defense, they're very aggressive. They're going to fly around. They try to make big plays, and they're a really good defense.
Malik, I know one of the things that Mark Burke said he was going to try to do this week is create adverse situations for you in practice. What are some of the things he's tried just to get that urgency going even a little earlier?
The big thing he's doing, he's just been yelling in my ear the entire time, like push the tempo, push the tempo. He's just been on me the whole week. He's been telling me that if I don't push the tempo that we could possibly lose this game, because this offense, if you watch them, they're very explosive. And as slow as we've been starting the first couple halves, last 2 games, we can't let that happen again. These guys, if you watch them, I think the first 2 drives they want to put a 14 on Clemson, so these guys can score. They can score fast, they can score at any moment. So we got to be able to keep up with them. We got to be able to score, and we got to be able to put pressure on them as well.
You talked about the difference in terms of coaching from the previous offensive staff, where, you know, if you play breaks down, you try to make something of it, as opposed to now, which is don't turn a disaster into a catastrophe. Has that been difficult when plays are breaking down to not throw it up? How much have you had to control yourself in that urge at times?
Honestly, it's almost like a reaction now. I don't really think about it. The first year I really had to think about it. I was like, throw it away, or I'd spike it, or I'd run it. Now it's almost like reaction, just tuck the ball and run. Like there was a couple of times that they thought maybe I could have fit it in the hole, or maybe try to force the ball, but they were like, listen, you ran it, got us 2 or 3 yards, didn't turn the ball over, you let us punt it, great job. And so there was a couple of misreads I had, but at the end of the day, I didn't turn the ball over, and they were just happy for that. So.
When you're talking about pushing the coach saying push the tempo, and then Coach Rick has told us a couple times that your brain, you're very smart, but your brain goes so fast that sometimes you're doing it too fast, kind of. So what's the balance there?
The big thing is just trust my progression and trust what they're teaching me. That's the thing he says. He says, don't try to outsmart your coaching. Just do what we tell you to do the progressions. If it works, good. If it doesn't, we'll correct it. We'll figure something out, and we'll keep going. So that was a big thing. When we went back and watched the film, if I stuck a little more in my progressions, I probably had maybe 3, 4, 5 more completions, which would have been helpful the last game. So they're just trying to they're trying to push the tempo and slow me down at the same time. They're trying to make it like simple reads, but also just play fast. So play where you're not thinking as much, you're just playing football.
Malik, when you talk about first and second half differences and splits and things like that, is it as simple as just execution on the plays, or does it take you, the offense, a little bit of time to figure out exactly what's going on out there?
So there was actually 2 different scenarios. With Florida State, they threw different coverages out there. Like for me personally, like I wasn't expecting. So for that Florida State game, it was just figuring out what they were doing, adjusting and making execution. But for the Georgia Tech, a lot of it was just pure execution, especially on my behalf. If I just done what I was supposed to do, we probably would have put up 10, 14 points in the first half. So that's what that game came down to, and it's going to be like this for the next game. They're a great defense. They're going to do what they do, and I just got to execute every snap.
When you ask questions, go ahead. I said, when you are trying to get those extra yards, where do you come down on sliding versus maybe trying to lower the shoulder a little bit? Are you ever going to look to try to go through somebody?
Coach John doesn't like me trying to go through someone. The only way is if it's like 4th and inches, 4th and 1, and I have to get that extra yard. He's like, listen, you got to get it. But he was like, the last thing I want is for you to try to run a linebacker over. He dislocates your shoulder, breaks your collarbone, gives you a concussion, and now you're out. And so his big thing is just slide, because he's kind of been upset because there's a couple calls he thought should have been targeting with me sliding, but he was like, don't worry about that, keep sliding. If they call it, good. If they don't, whatever. But he was like, just don't hurt yourself. But he told me if it's a 4th and 1, 4th and 2, just duck your head, get the extra yards. So.
Thank you, Malik.
All right, thank you
so much.